been listening to both of your albums and was wondering why water plays such a significant role in both your music, the lyrics, and of course the name as well.
Honestly, the first time that happened, as far as the lyrics and everything, the Vesper Bell, it was a complete accident. We kind of just noticed it one day. We were like talking about the album and talking about lyrics, and we were like, this is kind of interesting that every song has a reference to some form of water. And from there, we kind of said, let's kind of make it a point to not necessarily focus, any song around water, but just kind of, maybe if it doesn't have anything about water, maybe see if we can have some kind of alliteration or anything in there, whether it just be a word like flowing or something, I don't know. So, it wasn't initially on purpose, but I think after that, we just kind of realized that we paint a lot of pictures, and we like to make our listeners, feel a certain emotion rather than necessarily, like, quote-unquote, get a song. I think that water is just really relaxing, and I think we all like water a lot.
Along with the water, the genre that you guys play, water pop, was that something that you just kind of came up with, or is it the sound, the flowing sound that you talked about, played a part?
Definitely both. Everyone, it kind of started because everyone would ask us, what kind of music do you guys play? And we never really knew. Like, it took a very long time for us to kind of come up with a solid answer. And, even to this day when people say, what do you guys sound like? I'm like, I don't really know. We're just kind of music, I guess. I'm like, we're not, like, heavy metal and we're not country. We're somewhere in between there, I guess. I don't know. Our bass player used to tell people that we were like a mix between Marilyn Manson and Taylor Swift, and which is like obviously completely ridiculous, but it's also kind of true. We are somewhere in that spectrum, yeah, we decided. I think I can't even remember who it was in the band that started saying water pop, but we were just like that kind of has a cool ring to it, and it's cool to put on blogs and to put next to our album during, on iTunes and stuff, because it's just like, what is water pop? Like, nobody really knows what it is, but it'd be cool if it caught on.
What is it like releasing an album with a label as opposed to without one? Because this is your first record that's going to be released not independently.
Right. I don't really know yet, to be honest with you, because it hasn't really been released yet. Like, it's been obviously distributed to a few, radio stations here and there, and, a couple of blogs and things like that through our label, but I don't really know yet because it hasn't really been released, and as of right now, it doesn't really feel much different. I just know that it is because, our label is doing awesome things like setting up this interview and, setting up other things like that, and there's different reviews and things that pop up every week. We're constantly finding things like that online. I mean, one day we found, like, someone quoted one of the songs off of the album, like, on their blog, and it was, like, this British author. And we were like, what? This song isn't even, like, in the free download. One of those. Like, this song is, how, So, I don't know. It's definitely, I can't wait to find out the differences. Let's just put it that way. I hope that, it definitely is a much more positive improvement from releasing something independently.
What is your favorite part of touring, or what's your favorite, tour activity?
My favorite part of touring is that, every show is so different, and a lot of times we're playing a venue we've never played before. So there's, a little bit of nervous excitement every time we're, approaching a venue in a new city. Or maybe it's a city we've played before, but, it's a new venue. But there's always kind of, I wonder what this place is going to be like kind of thing, and you walk up to a new place, and sometimes you're like, ooh, whoa, this is going to be interesting, and it's, one of your best shows on the road, and then other times you're like, wow, what an incredible, gorgeous, huge venue, and, you're playing to the staff. Mm-hmm. So there's always, I don't know, kind of, I guess, nervous anticipation of each venue and wondering what the shows are going to be like and stuff. I think that's really exciting. And what's cool is we tend to, whether we're playing for a packed house or the staff, we tend to have just as good of a time, and 90% of the time, at least a staff member will walk away with an album or a T-shirt or something.
Is there a certain song or a certain like group of songs that you like performing live the most?
Which, oddly enough, still one of my favorite songs to sing, if not my favorite, is Abzu, which is on the first album, and is the first song we ever wrote as a band. So you would think of all the songs that I would be the most sick of it, but I love every time we play that song. I love it, and it's in our set, our new set that we've constructed, kind of to tour on this album. We kept 2 songs in it from the first album, and that's one of them. That's one of my favorites. Pretty much any song I enjoy singing the entire second album. I really like it a lot. It's kind of right in the meat of my range, but it's still kind of a little bit of a push at the same time for every show. So I really do have to focus on taking good care of my voice when I'm not singing.
Do you guys have any specific musical influences, or did you guys create your own sound based upon like each other as a group?
I think it was probably a little bit of both. I mean, we all have very different musical influences. Like, there are bands that I listen to now that I never listened to before the band, if that makes sense. Like, we kind of all had our individual influences. Like, our drummer, his favorite band of all time is Blink-182. So, like, he's got, just kind of like pop/punk sensibility on the drums, but he doesn't take over on the drums. And, he's got kind of the same with his writing style is very similar as well. And I don't know, I'd say as a whole, the bands that we kind of all like formed together, and we're heavily influenced by these bands. We mentioned Coldplay a lot. We all love Coldplay. Sigur Rós is a big one. For me, vocally, I would definitely say I don't really try to necessarily mimic anyone, but I definitely am inspired by lots of female vocalists, and those being like Dolores O'Riordan of the Cranberries and Stevie Nicks and Regina Spektor. I envy certain things and respect certain things about them individually, but I wouldn't really ever want to sound like any of them. There are certain things about Regina Spektor, her quirky phrasing and melodies, that I really like, and then just like kind of different things from each of them that I really like and respect and enjoy in there.
What is your spirit animal, if you have one? And if you don't have one, what would you want it to be?
It's funny because we've talked about these kind of things before as a band. Mm-hmm. We've been like, what if everyone in the band was an animal? And kind of, I'm trying to think of what they've said about me before.
It's tough. Like, you can go on websites and they will walk you through a mind journey. But most people I know who I ask are just they just choose either their favorite animal or an animal that they think they're similar to, and that works too. I mean, it's your spirit, whatever you think it is.
I think I would be I don't know. I'm a huge dog person, and my dog is a really big part of my life, and she's may or may not have some coyote in her. And so, I don't know, I feel like I would have to be something that's really vocal, because I sing, but I talk a lot, so I don't know, maybe a coyote.
That would be pretty cool.
Because I wouldn't be a wolf, because that's wolves are a lot more powerful and kind of intimidating, as opposed to a coyote that just kind of runs around and trots around and eats things and howls every now and then.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
I just want, if someone hears our song on y'all's station and they like it, to not be afraid to call and be like, hey, who was that? Who was that just played? And then maybe go and check us out further and maybe show us to somebody. I think that's our biggest thing, is we just want to, we want to affect people, and we want people to be as interested in our music as we are, and interested in us as people,